scones today. While we've got the oven hot, it's already got the bread in it, and before that all cools down, I thought we'd make use of the coals and the heat beads while they're still operating. So it's pretty easy, straightforward recipe. You don't need very many ingredients. We've got 2 cups of flour, which I did cheat and pre-measure at home. And then you just need a little bit of milk, so 1 cup. We also need a pinch of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon, and 1 tablespoon of margarine. That's all we need, or butter, whatever you happen to have on hand. And yeah, so we'll just get started. So put the majority of the flour in. I did put a little bit extra in for when we need to roll it out, so I put an extra 1/4 cup of flour in this bag, so I'm going to reserve that. So you want to do your dry ingredients first. So basically, got the flour in there. I'm going to pop my salt in. As I said, about 1/4 teaspoon. That looks about right. We're doing bush measurements here. We're not doing kitchen measurements. And then we need to add the butter. Okay, so because we're using a dessert spoon, in order to get about the quite right quantity for a tablespoon, we need to do 2 of these roughly. Okay. Alright, so the technique you want to do is you want to be able to turn this into a crumb. So you just need to break it off in small pieces across the top of your flour, and that will just help you with being able to mix this evenly throughout the flour. So what I'm trying to do here is just work the butter all the way through the flour as evenly as I can. Once you've done that, then you can add some milk. Alright, so I've mixed all of the butter through, and now I'm at the point where I need to add some of the milk in order to turn this into a dough. So I'm going to make a little well in the middle of the mix and add the milk, probably half of that cup in, work that through, and then I'll add the other half. So just folding it through the mix. I might need my assistant to pour some more milk in for me. Yeah, go. Excellent. Thank you. Now, you don't want to overwork the dough either, so once you've got it to form in a ball, then we're going to flip it out and start to knead it. Okay, so I've got the dough in a nice tight ball, ready to go. So now I'm just going to flour I'm using the lid off the bowl because that's what we've got when we're camping. And then basically I'm going to flatten that dough out and then cut the scones. Okay. Just going to break it in half and do it in portions just to make it a little easier on myself. You want to leave it as even as you can for cutting, because they will make them different heights. They're going to cook at different times, and then you'll end up with half-cooked scones and burnt scones. We don't want that. Okay, so I'm just going to use the cup that I had to make the scones. Basically just cut them, place them on the plate, ready to go in. A little bit of shape to go in the oven once the bread's done. I don't think it's far off. There we go. So scones. The only thing left to do now is to baste them with a bit of butter or milk. I'm just going to use the milk. This one right here. Okay, so while Michael gets the fire ready, I'm just going to get this organised, ready to go into the camp oven. So just a little bit of spray oil and just place them on there. Once I've done that, I'm going to just lightly baste them in a little bit of milk that was left over from making the mix. Okay, so I've got the camp oven preheated. I did that and I've preheated it to roughly about 220 degrees. That's just a rough estimate. And yeah, so now I'm just going to pop the scones in there and I'm going to put them in there for roughly 15 to 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and do that. Just going to take the top off for a sec. Carefully putting them in and lid back on. Done. Okay, so they've been cooking for about 15 minutes now. We're just going to have a quick check and see if they're ready to come out. Well, they look alright. That's just... I think... Yep, I think they're good to come off the heat now.
You know that's going in the video.
It's
don't you?
not.